स्क्रॉल चल रहा है फिर से ठीक है अभी कंप्लीट आना so he went back
What happened to the ladies? We are not sure. One for the afternoon siesta. Yeah, afternoon siesta. What about it? It's an afternoon nap. It's very popular in Spain. In fact, they have a couple of hours where they shut down and go to sleep. It's right to the country. It's normal. Alright? Is that the case or? Anyway, so I didn't get it. Jenny, Satyam. Mic is on. Hello. Better, right? It's just the positioning, right? The sentence portion. So, alright. Satyam asked a question about infinitive verbs, right? What it is. So I just looked it up in the break. So infinitive is a basic form of a verb, okay, which has no inflection attached to it from the tense or the noun it is connected, right? So what do you mean by inflection? There's no inflection to it. Inflection is the formation of a word, and here it's the verb, right? And there's no variation to it, right? Typically in the ending of it, maybe an ing or some other alteration to the verb that better communicates either the gender, the mood, the number, the case, or any of that nature, right? So verbs that do not have any inflection. When I say inflection, inflection is the basic form of word formation which qualifies by that usually suffix with an ing or any other alteration that communicates about the gender, the mood, or number, or case, or any of that nature. Okay, so which doesn't have an inflection, right? So any kind of basic verb form, right? And usually it is followed by two. It's followed by two. The verb form is followed by to go, to come, to all of that. Those are called verb forms in the infinitive. Okay, this is very technical in nature. So if you are doing some English grammar kind of a thing, that's why you need to know the differences and all of that. Okay, so you can look that up. Alright, so we will jump to prepositions. We left that halfway because it's just that we can't run over time and miss other topics. Okay, so let's look at preposition. So preposition tells us, so it's one of the parts of speech as we covered in the first section of our training today. So preposition tells us the position of something in relation to another. Yeah. Can you move it? So the preposition is a word which is placed before a noun or a pronoun. Right? It's related to a noun or a pronoun. Show its relationship with something else in the sentence. So it's going to it's placed before a noun or pronoun and it's relating to other things in the sentence. Let's look at the kind of the hierarchy or the kinds of preposition. So kinds of preposition based on their use in the sentence, based on the construction of prepositions themselves. So the types of it, you have simple, double preposition, compound preposition, and participle preposition. Here you have preposition of place, time, movement. Okay, so let me put on silent. Alright. Okay, so typically what you need to be aware of that you have prepositions that are in relation to place, time, movement. Okay, and you have types like which is categorized as simple, compound, and double and participle preposition. We look at each one of them. Can you move forward? So it depends on what function is performing, and to that extent we will categorize it based on that. So it's placed proportion based on place, time, and movement. Okay, move forward. So yeah, so if it's about movement, it's about place rather. It's about the location, right? So that's proportion of place. It's about a place. It's pointing toward, above, up, after, on, before, against a what? Okay. By, behind, below, along, near, down, in, at, across, inside, between, over. Now these are propositions of place, right? And there are certain examples here. The airplane is flying above the clouds. The dog buried the bone under the ground. Our house is at the end of the street, and the cat ran across the road. So here the prepositions are above, under, at, and across. Okay. So look at prepositions of time. So it links the noun to the time value. So you will know from that about about the time of it. What point in time a particular event occurred. Prepositions of time. So let's look at some of the prepositions of this nature: about, before, for, by, around, in, ago, at, past, since, to, on, after, until, between, during. So these all prepositions are used with the attribute of time. The train is about an hour late. The classes begin at, right? My birthday falls on Wednesday. India has been independent since 1947. So all of this is attributing back. Let's look at movement. So it's about show movement to or from a place. It's either towards or from. Okay. Okay. So these are the prepositions: down, past, into, behind, up, onto, through, off, over, on, across, at, by, for, after, towards. Right? So there are certain examples for that. The cat has climbed up a tree. The children got off the bus. She ran along the pavement. Bus goes towards the market. Let's go further. So let's try this. The books are dashed the cupboard. The dog is dashed the chair. Yeah. Under the chair. The apple is On the book. Okay. So here you have it. In. So you got in, under, and on. Okay. Go for. Over the work, right? What about the boy is writing on the blackboard? That is that's the cat. Besides, yeah, near the cat. That's fine. It's not that it has to be one particular proposition. It can be a range of one which are accurately describing the scenario. Okay, it doesn't need to be only one of it, right? As if that's the only right answer. Okay? All right. So, so this is the category of propositions themselves, right? First, we saw the nature of it, right? Place, time, and domain. Okay, these are three things. Now, this is the category of propositions which are simple, double, compound, and participle. Let's look at that. So, the simple is the basic propositions which are there available and used frequently. Let's go forward. So, here are some examples of simple propositions. Again, if you repeat of and a mix and match of all the propositions which we used earlier, which are of the B nature, right? Above, under, around, through, after, on, before, about, among, behind, along, near, down, in, at, across, between, over. This is not exhaustive, but these are simple propositions. Right? The paper is on my desk. The man was standing under the tree. I will meet you near your house at. Right? This is about time. This is about location. Alright? Again about location. This is also about location. He is currently staying in a hotel. Alright. Let's look at double propositions. There are two propositions but are joined to make a new one. Double propositions are two propositions but are joined to make a whole new one. Okay? Let's look at that. Inside, outside, onto. So you can see it's two put together. Into, onto, up to, within, without, under. Right? Outside the house lies a beautiful garden. So the category of the propositions are not very critical unless you are someone wants to use grammar. Okay? That's more of a theoretical kind of understanding that you want, and it's more about the language. If you are proceeding as a core language learner, right? All you need to be aware of is the three basic propositions, and propositions were appropriately used. Let's look at the compound propositions. So unlike double propositions, compound propositions are not joined and turned into one word. So those words are two words put together to make it a double proposition. Compound is not such a thing. They remain as two different words. Let's look at those two different words in the compound propositions. According to, apart from, there are two words separately exist, right? Close to, because of, far from, next to, rather than, instead of, out of, due to, relating to, in front of. Alright? So, rather than fixing the system, people exploit it. That's an appropriate use of a compound proposition. Alright? Instead of addressing what is important, people beat around the bush. Okay? Out of, due to, relating to, in front of. These are two words which form a compound proposition, and this is common. These are commonly seen in usage. Right? My car is parked in front of the house. Rita was never close to her parents. She cannot stay here as of now. His behavior is far from normal. Okay? Or participle propositions are basically participles used as preposition. A participle is actually a verb that ends with en or ing, as simple as that, right? Any participle is a verb that ends in en or ing. Okay. In that tense, you will have different variations of it, right? We come to tenses when we come to that. Okay, so all that which has an ing or an en ending for the verb will be a participle proposition. Be concerning, during, excluding, given, following, failing, repeated, provided, pending, considering, notwithstanding, including. Right? These are the participle propositions. And there are some examples here. Everywhere my father went, his dog was following him. Ram is always curious about anything concerning Shah. Everybody was invited to the function by small children. Okay, let's try this simple proposition. The envoy is dashed the phone right on the phone, right? My family is going dash vacation this summer. On again. The toy bear is in the box or inside the box. Okay? In the box. Going to vacation this summer. On vacation is accurate. To vacation this summer. Alright. The family is going to vacation. On a vacation will be accurate. You can use on vacation or to vacation. Okay, both of them are correct. Dash. We'll see double proposition. So you will have two words but written as one. Okay. So those propositions are double propositions. Dash the house lies outside the house lies a beautiful garden. The outside upon a banyan tree. Okay. On top of also is fine. Okay. Upon. What are the next? Without an umbrella. Alright. Atop is fine. Upon is also fine. Both are fine. Atop is fine. Upon is also fine. It's a single word and so it's a double proposition. Okay. So let's look at the next one. This is a compound proposition. It's a compound proposition will have two independent words. Okay. The dash, the alternative is beautiful. The dash alternative. Inside of. Inside of. Okay. Next. Robin is standing apart. Next to. Okay. He could not leave the home because of everything. Okay. Perfect. Right? Alright. Everywhere we went, the doctor. This is about participle proposition. So it will have an en or an ing. Okay. Following him, right? Okay. The entire class went to picnic. That's the teacher. The entire class went to picnic. That's the teacher. Including, okay. Okay. She works, that's the day, and studies at night. During the day, okay. Including the teacher. Okay. Well, that's about it. Okay, that's a very short one. Alright. So, we look at another topic. So we will go back to single word substitution. And then come back to um,
Sure.
subject verb.
So which PPT?
So so you are. Oh, you are here. We have come to word out, right? I think so. So I think the not talk. A group of tons of precise launchers operate together at one place. It's a battery of missiles. A large bundle mounted for storage of transport. Bay. Now, if you see, have you heard about base of cotton, base of something? That's what we are talking about here. Large bundle mounted for storage of transport. It's more widely used in different contexts, but more commonly used for such items. We large group of people in a particular type, right? Uh, this may be based on any kind of demographic parameter. It can be about ethnicity, profession, any of it. Okay, religion, whatever it is. Those types of congregations are called a field. An arrangement of flowers that is usually given as a present. That's a bouquet. Right? A family of young animals. It's a road. Now we saw cashier, right? We read further. We cashier. Okay. A group of people typically with vehicles animals traveling together. A caravan. Alright? How about a close political meeting? It's a caucus. Caucus, it's more used in the US politics. Here we don't use that often, but you have different caucuses. It's a formalized kind of groups which are close meetings where they are doing influence peddling and all of that, right? Lobbying and all that. So we have different caucuses based on political lineage. It can be Democratic, Republican, and all of that, and it's called a caucus. An exclusive circle of people with a common purpose. Okay. Meta compass is what? Okay. A group of followers had applaud at a performance. Alright. A series of stars. Okay, that's a constellation. A funeral procession. A God. Okay. A group of worshippers. That is fine. A congregation. A herd or flock of animals being driven in the water. It's a grove. A small fleet of ships or boats. Flotilla. Okay. Let's look at small growth of trees without underbush. A grove. You have mango grove, banana grove, all of that. So those are without an underbush. Okay. Community of people smaller than a village. A hamlet. It's like a small set of families that live. Which is village may be of certain size, maybe a few hundred or even a few tens. This will be even smaller, maybe 5 or 10 or 15 like that. It's called a hamlet. You heard about the herd, right? Any cattle or sheep or any set of domestic mammals is called a herd. A large group of people is a horde. Okay? Um, a temporary police officer, posse. A large number of fish swim together, shore. A strong and fast moving stream of water or other liquid, a torrent. Okay? That's about it? Okay. One is not sure about God's existence. Self-agnostic. So he or she is doubting God's existence. What about one who does not believe in God really? And it is. One who believes in God? He is. Okay? Agnostic is in between. Right? One end of the spectrum is atheist, the other end of the spectrum is theist, and agnostic is someone who is in between. He's not sure of the existence of God, but he's not sure, that's it. He's not sure either way of either existence or no existence, lack of existence. The person who deliberately sets fire to a building, arsonist. Okay? One who does a thing for pleasure, not as a profession, an amateur. So, a labor of love is an amateur. One who can use either hand is ambidextrous. One who makes an official examination of a person is an auditor. A person who believes in or tries to bring about a state of lawlessness, and anarchist. Someone who doesn't believe in authority and order as imposed from an authority. One who can either hand usage. One who can use either hand with ease is ambidextrous. An unconventional style of living. A bohemian. One who is bad at studies. Cartographer. Okay, one who feeds on human pleasure, everyone knows it. It's a cannibal. A person who is blindly devoted to an idea. A person displaying aggressive or exaggerated patriotism is a chauvinist. Any other alternate word for it? For chauvinism? Anyone with extreme ideology? Radical. Yeah, radical is comes in that same genre. What about other? Huh? It's a very commonly used word. Huh? Extremist. Not wrong. I'm just looking for another word. Should I give a clue? Someone who the word starts with an F. Frank. Someone who's frank is not any of this. Frank is someone who's forthright and upfront. Right? That's definitely a positive. This has a very negative connotation. No one, no one can guess it. Huh? You have to take off and speak. Else you have to speak really loud. It's you, right? Who's saying it? You. Other person. You are the one who's saying something. Yeah. You have to relate.
Think facets.
Huh?
Facets.
Fascist. Fascist is certain political ideology based on extreme nationalism. It's a fascist, right? And who doesn't believe in democracy and others. This is a certain political ideology, right? And they generally are seen with xenophobic and all of that, right? That's more narrow in its definition and it's more political in nature, fascism, right? Um, it may there's an assumed superiority based on caste, creed, race, whatever, right? That is, and its political nature is a fascist. Okay, I'm talking about that. No one guessed it till now? No? A fanatic. A fanatic is someone who is blindly devoted to an idea, unwilling to examine other alternate possible points of view. Right? Person displaying aggressive or exaggerated. It can be patriotism also, but a fanatic. Okay? A critical judge of any art and craft is a connoisseur. Connoisseur. Now, when it comes to someone who appreciates fine food, what is that person called? Heard that word? Yeah, gourmet, right? Gourmet. And someone who eats excessively without limit, a glutton. Okay? Glutton. Okay. Good. Do you have any more here? You got here? Oh, you have. Okay. A person living at the same time, contemporaries, right? Now, it doesn't need to be for celebrities or something. It can be uh, anyone, right? Anyone who's living at the same time is contemporaneous, right? And for example, this Rahul Dravid and Sachin Tendulkar were contemporaries, right? Alright. One who's recovering health after illness, convalescent. Convulse is to recover. Convalescent is someone who is currently recovering from an illness. A girl, woman who flirts with men. Okay. Okay. A person who regards the whole world as his country. Okay. Cosmopolitan. Okay. Uh, you have any alternate words for that? Cosmopolitan. Okay. I'm sure there are some alternate words of the same meaning. Uh, okay, let's go to the next one. One who's a center of attraction. Yeah. Sanashaw. Sanashaw is someone who's wanting attraction. I mean, wants to be the center of attraction and keeps attracting attention to himself or herself. Alright? So it's something which is deliberate. Okay? Okay. Someone who sneers at the beliefs of others. Cynic. A leader or an orator who oppose the cause of the common people. Espouse the cause of the common people. A demagogue, right? Why a demagogue? A demagogue is someone who incites passion in the name of the greater good. What's the alternate word for a greater good? A one word substitute for greater good? For the cause of a greater good? Anyone? Any guess? No? Ever heard the word altruism? Altruism? Yes, no? Altruistic? Heard the word altruistic? No? Altruistic is someone who acts in the bigger interest of people. Okay? The larger good of people is any actions taken in this context is called being altruistic, and that is called altruism. Okay? A dabbler, not serious, art, science, and literature is a dilettante. Dilettante. I don't know what is it. One who is for pleasure of eating and drinking. Epicton. Okay. Glutton would not be so accurate. There's some other word which is missing my memory. There's another word for it. Who eats for who is for the pleasure of eating and drinking. Okay. One who often talks of his achievements. An egotist. Someone who leaves one country to settle in another. An emigrant. A man who's humanizing the Sabbath. Okay? Effeminate. One is hard to place. This you have come across. Have you? Fastidious. Fastidious is any kind of person who's not easy to please. One who runs away from justice or from the law for that matter is a fugitive. One who is filled with excessive enthusiasm in religious matters. A fanatic. Now the fanatic is more broader in context. It can be any ideology, not just religion. Fanaticism can be any context. It can be political ideology, it can be economic ideology, it can be religious ideology, or any of it, right? All of them will fall under the umbrella of fanaticism or fanatic. Okay? And they are unwilling to entertain any alternate to support that particular philosophy or concept. Okay. Government. I now spelling is another alternate use of it. Okay. One who believes in fate. Someone was talking about fate and destiny. A fatalist. Okay. Someone who believes or subscribes to the idea that everything is predetermined. That there is a certain course of action that is inevitable. That those type of people are called fatalists. Okay. That there is no free will for people. Okay. Concord as an honorary. Okay. All right. Okay. A person acts against religion. A heretic. Okay. Heretic is someone who defies the dictats of religion. Anyone who defies the dictats of religion is a heretic. Questions, challenges, is a heretic. A person of intellectual or erudite taste. I drop. Erudite is what? Erudite. Erudite is someone who's scholarly. By the way, everyone has at least one dictionary app in your mobile phone by any chance? No one uses it? Google it. I would recommend have a dictionary. You have many options available. You have the Webster's, you have the Merritt's Webster, you have dictionary.com, you have one more. There are many. So I would recommend that you install one at least. Okay. You can have two, but one is absolutely a must. Don't try to Google it. You can, and dictionary offers a variety of it. Usually, all these dictionaries will have options like thesaurus, right? You will have synonyms, antonyms. All of it will have it in tabs, right? So you can go through them in the whole gamut of it. Okay, so I would recommend that you have a dictionary and not Google it. Okay? A person with imaginary symptoms and ailments, hypochondriac, right? So these people suffer a certain kind of a illness, which is categorized as what? People who are hypochondriac suffer a certain type of illness, which is termed in medical terms as something. What is it called? Did you get my question? People who are hypochondriac have a certain illness that they cause for themselves. Is categorized as something in medical terms. What is it called? Hypochondriac is a type of people, and they have a certain type of disease which is because of their very nature they cause it for themselves. Medical term is commonly used. It's commonly used. It's not a very rare term. What? Say it again. Oh no. That's a particular psychological condition. Multiple personality disorders talking about. Split personality disorder, schizophrenic, bipolar, all that. So those are mental ailments, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who are hypochondriac, which cause them to have certain type of ailments. Anyone? Any guess? That's mental in nature again. This is something different. These people manifest physical diseases, physical conditions because of a certain predisposition, which is hypochondriac in nature. So the predisposition causes that certain medical condition which is called, these types of diseases are categorized and labeled as something. What is it is what I'm asking. Have you heard the term psychosomatic? Yes, no? Psychosomatic? No? Not heard the term? I thought it's pretty prevalent. Psychosomatic disease? No one has heard it? No? I'm surprised. Psychosomatic is pretty commonly used term. Psychosomatic diseases are diseases which are purely caused by the mind and manifest as physical disease in the body. And anywhere where modern science or modern medical science is not able to attribute any particular reason for a disease to show up, they usually categorize it as psychosomatic. If you don't have answer, you have to have some answer, right? You can't say I don't know. So always you can say you put a label, even that you don't know actually. But then you put it in the label and say it as psychosomatic, suddenly the problem is solved. Psychosomatic. Alright? So, okay, a person who is controlled by wife, infect, infect, infect perspective, right? Alright. Maybe most of humanity, I don't know. One who shows sustained enthusiastic action with unflagging vitality, indefectible, indefectible. In that you have fatigue actually. Fatigue is what? You tire out, right? When you're indefectible, you don't tire out in your energy or enthusiasm. Okay? Someone who attacks cherished ideas of traditional institutions. Iconoclast. Iconoclast is someone who is challenging the conventional order. Conventional order or traditional order is challenged by iconoclast, right? Someone who is rebellious in nature. One who does not express himself freely, himself or herself freely is an introvert. One who behaves without moral principles, immoral. Okay, in this context, if I were to say someone who is not does not attribute their actions to morals, what are those people called? They don't. Their morality is not a guiding principle for their action. What are they called? Huh? No, immoral is the opposite of morality. Immoral are those people who act against moral values and norms laid out by society. Another set of people do not take morality as a guiding principle to act, or their actions are not guided by morals. What are they called? Anyone has an answer? Maybe you want the answer slightly because it captures this part rather than staying away with sometimes rather capture but more to the head shape. It's fine. I got more animal straight. Right. Ever heard the word amoral? Amoral. Amoral is uh, a, a value system not based on morality. Not based on morality. It's neither. It's not moral or immoral. It's amoral. Anyone wants to find and read out the meaning of amoral?
Lacking of moral sense.
Huh?
Lacking of moral sense, or unconcerned with the rightness or wrongness of something.
Or unconcerned. So they are kind of not guided by morality. Right? Not given by morality. Alright. A person who is incapable of being tampered with, impregnable, right? Someone who can't cause harm. What's the alternate word for it? Someone who can't cause harm. Harmless, okay? It comes in the same nature. Innocent is more about lack of guilt, right? Ever heard the word innocuous? 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 Innocuous is incapable of harm. Okay, innocuous. Can you read out innocuous? Innocuous. Huh? What does it say?
Not harmful or
Not harmful or
not harmful or not effective.
not offensive. Okay, that's right. Just you googled it, right? Yeah, don't do it. Have a dictionary, maybe a Merriam-Webster or a dictionary.com or any of that, right? You will have a much richer text, and you have two, three, sure, okay, two, three sets of. You'll have different like the noun, the verb form, all of that will get listed. So I have, let me share. I have Merriam-Webster. I have dictionary.com. I have PID. Just say. This two I have. And I have one called English, which is also fine. It's just the app is called English. Okay. One of it is fine, but have at least one of them. Merriam-Webster is good. Even dictionary.com is good. Right? Please do not Google it. Not that it will give you a wrong answer, but it will not be as rich as a dictionary. Alright? Anyone who's unable to pay his debts insolvent, right? A person who's mentally ill, a lunatic, anything with lunar is of the moon, right? And mental illness is directly related to the moon, right? It is like on full moon days and also on new moon days, right? Mentally people go through more turbulence than any other day, right? You know why? The moon has a certain power of pulling water, and our body is around 70% water. If the moon can pull water in the ocean and have high tides, you think you and I are immune to the effect of the moon? We are not. The point is that we have enough balance to manage that. Means it amplifies our emotions, right? When people don't have good balance in their emotion, they will start acting cranky. And those who have mental instability or have an imbalance, those will get amplified. The imbalances get amplified. That's why around full moon and new moon, any staff of the mental asylum will be doubly alert and cautious because you may have violence on those days. These are recorded facts. These are medically recorded facts. It's not a hypothesis. So anywhere you will see Luna, it will all be to do with the point, right? Lunatic, I'm not reading the other words. Huh? Yeah, lunatic. You see desire is for lunatic? Huh? Psychopath. Okay, psychopath. This is some mental ailment. Okay, retarded. Sociopath, psychopath, mental retardation. What is that? With the moon, you should have other words. With Luna. Anyway, alright. So, a person who dislikes mankind and avoids human society, misanthrope, right? Anthropy is a study of humans, okay? Misanthrope is someone who dislikes. Mis is always used as a negative. This is a negation of the one which follows it, right? Just like malinvestment, malnourishment, malevolent, anything with mal is a negative. It has a negative connotation. It negates whatever follows the mal, mal, right? Same with misunderstand, misjudge, all of this is You are missing it basically. Alright. This. So misanthrope is someone who hates human beings or human society. A person who's primarily concerned with making money at the expense of ethics. A mercenary. Mercenary is usually used more widely in a context that uh, yeah, it's used in a certain context.
Right.
Uh, exactly. Mercenaries are paid people who fight wars just for money. You can hire mercenaries to wage a war. They go on whichever side based on money. They have no ethics, no loyalty, nothing. It's just the money, right? They are called mercenary. Okay, so it's more widely used in today's term, the context of paid hitmen or people who take on violent acts, be it war or otherwise, based on payment of money. Someone in love with himself. I don't know. There's a clear gender bias. It's always a he. It can be any gender, he or she. Okay. Narcissistic is someone who is self-obsessed. Narcissism, right? And some of the manifestations is they take 10 or 20 or 100 selfies a day. Okay? Not all people who take selfies are narcissists, but chances are very high. Okay? And comes from a deep sense of lack of validation that has them engage in such activity. Right? Okay. Anything to do with coins is numismatic. Okay, numismatist is someone who is a collector of coins. A person who likes or admires women, okay. Polygamist, okay. Someone who marries multiple women is called a polygamist. Okay. A lady who marries multiple husbands is a polyandrist. Okay, polyandric is the phenomenon. Someone who hates women. The women will know it for sure. Huh? Misogynist. Okay. I don't know what I want to be. Okay, we come back to it. A lover of mankind, philanthropist. Okay. Here also you will see anthropy. Can you see that? Anywhere there is humans involved, you will have anthropy. It can be misanthropy, which is dislike for humanity, or philanthropy, a love for humankind. Okay. What we generally know of philanthropist as someone who donates money, right, for social causes. What has him or her donate money is based on love for humanity, mankind. Okay, a person who speaks more than one language, a polyglot. Okay, and I think almost all of us in India are polyglots, or a big majority. Definitely the city dwellers or the urban population, especially who are dispersed from their hometowns or other things, definitely are polyglots, right? They know more than one language. Now, poly is usually used for many, right? For two, it's called something.
Why?
Look it up. Someone knows two languages. One who lives in solitude, a recluse, right? That's something which is. Polyglot is used more than two. Actually, multiple. What is it?
Two is why?
Bilingual.
Bilingual and multilingual can.
Multilingual is polyglot. More than two is multi. It becomes poly. Alright. That's. Can we go further? Is that any further? Okay. Okay. Wait. Someone who walks in sleep. Okay. Somnambulist. So ambling. Right? If you see something to do with again the mood, soma. So there's some deep connection between different languages actually, right? Anything to do with sleep and night has a song, insomnia song for that, right? Insomnia is what? A lack of sleep, right? So that song will come in many ways for anything to do with sleep. Okay? A person who is indifferent to the pains and pressures of life, stoic. Okay? Step. Okay? A scolding, nagging, bad tempered. Okay? Term again. Okay? Never come across that. A person who shows a great or excessive fondness for one's wife. If so, sorry, yes. I have come across that either. One who possesses outstanding technical ability in a particular art or field. Virtuoso. Okay. So these are some words you may be very unfamiliar with. One word substitution for death and murder. Okay. That looks a little star. A prodigy is the song possession, especially for funeral. A point of serious reflection, typically a lament for the dead. Elegy. Oh, elegy is one. Okay, a phrase or a form of words written in memory of a person who has died. It's an epithet. You will find this usually on tombstones, right? The last words written in the memory of the person. It may be self-written, given, or it can be written by someone else. But you usually find it on tombstones. Meaning of one's son or daughter. Okay, all these things. Okay. This is killing of large group of people. It can be of any denomination. It's a genocide. Killing of entire side. So whenever you see a site, CID, right? What is it? Killing. Pesticide, right? Insecticide, right? Suicide. All of them will have a side in it. CID is about killing. Okay? So you can easily find out from the root word that it refers to something about end or death. Okay? Okay. Okay, go down further. Okay. Mortuary, obituary. Okay. Okay. So, act of intentionally causing one's or the suicide, of course. Um, obituary is what? A news article that reports the recent death of a person, right? Usually, obituary, if it's carried out by the paper itself, it will be like a news item. Otherwise, it's usually a insertion by friends and relatives of the person who has passed away, like a classified activity. Okay? Mortuary is a building where dead bodies are kept. Let's go further. Okay, let's look at this research and alchemy, a medieval forerunner of chemistry. Alchemy is also used in a much more narrow term to say something. Alchemy is usually, as said, anything that anyone knows alchemy? Huh? Exactly. Anywhere, anything gets that the science of or the art of whatever it is of converting anything into gold is called alchemy. Okay. Okay. An anchor is someone who presents a program on it, any kind of a radio, television, or even an event. Okay. As I said before, anchor will always come wherever there is. Yeah. Say that again.
Mankind. Mankind. Mankind.
Mankind, right, exactly. Humanity, mankind is the anthro, right? Misanthrope, philanthrope, uh, anthropology, anthropologist, all of that is about study of mankind or humankind. Okay, okay, astronaut, you know what it is fine. A person who draws or uses maps, cartographer. Okay, a person who writes beautiful writing is a calligrapher. One of uh, one of the most successful calligraphers of recent times is he's not that was not his main profession, but he took it as a subject in his college instead of something of hard science. Right? Who was that? Good. Only you know it. No one else. Steve Jobs was heavily into calligraphy. He took it as a subject in college. He dropped out of other subjects in the hard science and went to his passion about calligraphy. And his sense of aesthetics and design had them kind of design the first iPhone. It's not that he was an engineer behind it, but he was more on the design side of it. The user interface and how it should look and perform and all of that. Okay? So people mostly misunderstand Steve Jobs to be a technical person. It's not technical. He was a creative design person, more of a visionary, not a technical one. Right. Choreographer is someone who choreographs or puts together a dance or a piece of creative a dance performance. Okay. Who is a chauffeur? A person employed to drive a private or a hired car. A compeer is someone. A compeer is someone again like a you can also there's an alternate word for it these days for a compeer, which is a host. Okay, not wrong. MC, master of ceremonies. Okay, a master of ceremonies is also someone who compeers. Okay, those we use. A keeper of a student of museum or other collection, a curator. This you would have come across. Chronobiology. Okay, etc. Okay. A secret of disguised way of writing is a cipher. And to unravel it is decipher. Okay. A study of studies is demography. The use of fingers and hands to communicate with countries. Dactylology. Dactylology. A person who sells and arranges cut cards correspond. Act of recent next genealogy. Okay. So if you have a descent, you have a genealogist or someone who knows the entire lineage of ancestors. Okay, that's a genealogist. The therapeutic use of sunlight, heliotherapy. Okay, helio. Where does helio come from? Helios. Sun has helium. It comes from that. Helios. Okay. Sun is nothing but helium and hydrogen. I think only two or something else. Couple of them. That's it. And this nuclear fusion which happens, that's what has us all be alive here. Okay. Horticulture, cultivation of garden or cultivation of management of that. One who supervises examination, invigilator, something theory of philosophy. Jurisprudence. Okay, jurisprudence is the entire gamut of study of law and justice and judgments. Okay, that's called jurisprudence. The whole domain of it is called jurisprudence. Okay. Rhetoric. Rhetoric is someone art of effective or persuasive speaking or writing. Okay, so I think we had enough. I think this is going interesting. I think yeah, we are done with it. We almost done. Just go through. What is this? You're saying something. Can we? I think we're done. Are we done? Okay, I think it's just the psychologist is someone who studies elections and all, right? Voting and elections. So this, I think this goes on for quite a while. I think just keep scrolling and see how far it goes. It seems to be a lot. You done? Got it. We'll briefly look at it. So these are sounds of different. Okay. Okay, these are a cackle, a cow, this for crows, right? A club is for hens, click this for dolphins. Okay, all this is fine. We'll go down. Camel grunts, owl hoots, penguins honk. Okay, camel mow, and horses neigh. All that is fine. Quack. Okay, sort of horses twitter. Okay. Okay, that's where the word comes from the application. A trumpet and wine. Okay, I think we'll round it up there. And it there.
Next, what we'll do?
Apparent exceptions to the rule. A subject-verb agreement is about the agreement about whether subject and the verb are singular or plural. If the subject is in singular, the verb should be singular. The subject is in plural, the verb should be plural. Right? You can't have a mismatch. Right? And you have certain exceptions to the rule, and we look at those exceptions. Right? Where you may have a singular subject and you will have a plural verb. Okay, so we look at all of that. Can we? So an agreement is of the subject and the verb, of the numbers. Okay, we have a set of rules that we go through, and we will have some exercise questions to solve. Okay, okay. So let's look at the basics. Some of the points to keep in mind is that subject is the doer of the verb, or in another way, it's a noun. The noun is usually the subject, and then you have the object, the receiver of the verb or the action, and verb is the action or state of being in a sentence. All right. All right. A singular subject will have a singular verb, and a plural subject will have a plural verb. Okay. And these are exceptions. I will be go through the exceptions. Okay. Now, okay. So let's look at this in detail. Boy is singular, boys is plural, right? Is it cutting off something? This is the a noun. Boys are noun. Boys is also noun in the plural. So whenever uh, a noun with a s added to it or es added to it is a converts to a plural. If s or es is taken away, it becomes singular. Now, when it comes to verb, it's exactly the opposite. Whenever s or es is there, it is singular. When s and es is taken out, it's a plural. Okay, this is what is the critical part. Now, for that, you need to be able to identify singular and plural. Sorry, you need to be able to identify subject and verb, right? Noun or verb, right? Because a word can be both a noun and a verb based on the sentence or the usage. Okay. Here, I think I may need.
Yes, sir.
I may need. I will make some points.
Um, okay, just a minute.
So talks is singular and talk is plural. When talk is behaving like a verb, when it's a verb, but talk can also be a noun. Okay. So if I were to say, so before I go there, so is, was, has, does, all that are singular. Talks, runs, writes, skips, reads, etc. is singular. Are, were, have, do. So these are the plural, the equivalent plural. So right here, this way, right? If it's used in singular, if the subject is singular, you will use has. Subject is in plural, you will say have. If subject is in singular, you will say does. In plural, you say do. Okay? But there are exceptions to it. Whenever you use first person singular, you will always use plural verb form. You will not use singular verb form. You will say I do. I will not say I does. Right? You may say I is a singular, the noun is singular, and the verb is singular. That's accurate, but this is an exception to the rule. Whenever you use first person singular, right? I or you, right? You can be both second person singular or plural. Right? Because you can address a set of people or you can address a singular person. Doesn't matter. You will always use plural verb form. Right? Alright? Alright? So just summarizing here, if you have a singular subject, you must use the verbs is, was, has, does, or verbs ending with s or es because they are singular. Verbs ending with s or es will be always singular. Talks, speaks, walks, runs. All of them are going to be singular, right? If you have a plural subject, you must use these verbs: are, were, have, do, or verbs without s or es ending, because these verbs are plural verb form. Okay. Anytime you have a pronoun you as the subject of the sentence, you must use the plural verb form. That is, which are, were, have, do. Sorry. So when I use second person, right, you, right, singular, it doesn't matter it's singular or plural, you will always use the verb will be plural, though the subject is in singular, subject, or you can say noun. Okay. All right. So I talk, I will walk to him, I will talk to him. All of this will be, whenever you use I, it's going to be, verb is going to be plural.
With I, you'll always use verb will be plural form. You are very pretty. You is second person singular, but you will use a plural verb form are. You will not say you is pretty. You is very pretty, right? You are very pretty, right? So here are the exceptions. These are the very limited exceptions, right? Where you use a first person singular or a second person singular, but you use a plural verb form. Okay. So if two subjects are joined by and, the verb is going to become plural. The very nature, right? If one subject is compounded with another, it becomes an and, it becomes a compound subject, and you will get two. It becomes plural. The subject becomes plural, so the verb will become plural. My friend and his mother are in town. So the and is here, so it becomes subject is plural. I'll just say PL, and the verb is going to be plural. Okay. When two singular nouns joined by and refer to the same person or thing, the verb is singular. That is, this may not be easily to understand, but I will say, instead of captain, if I say the manager and the coach, and here the manager and the coach are one person. Okay. Okay, here this is two people. If there are two people, it will use plural. Here you use singular. See, the captain and coach. I'm sorry. Okay, see, instead of captain, the captain usually is not the coach. Okay, so it is counterintuitive. I'll just strike it out and write manager. In Indian cricket team, the manager and the coach are the same, right? Yeah, the main guy. You may have assistants and all that, but Ravi Shastri is the manager and the coach, right? So you're talking about the same person. If you're talking about the same person, you will use a singular. Okay. All right. But if you're talking about two different people, then you will write have, which is verb is plural. Okay. So indefinite pronouns, that is everyone, no one, everybody, nobody, somebody, anybody, all of that, right? Always singular. Okay. So we do not use are in the sentence, right? So again, there's an exception. This does not apply to few, many, several, both, all, some. Only these particular ones. Okay. Whenever it's a percentage mentioned, you'll always use plural, right? Whenever a percentage is mentioned, you'll always use a plural verb. Are. Okay. So when you use subjects joined by neither nor or either or neither nor for different persons, the verb will agree with the person number with the noun which is nearest, right? So if I use neither you nor your dogs know how to behave, you're not talking about this subject. This is also subject, this is also subject, right? The closest subject is dogs, which is plural. So you will use know, which is verb, which is plural. Can you see that? When you use either or, neither nor, right? You will use the closest subject to the verb. It will take on whether that subject or that noun is either singular or plural, and the verb will agree with that number. Clear? So if collectives and apostatives like along with, together with, as well as accompanied by, all of that are used to combine two subjects, the verb agrees with the subject mentioned first, right? So what are these? Like accompanied by. So we are talking about this subject Ram, right? Accompanied by his wife Sita and his brother is irrelevant. So this phrase can be ignored. Was banished, not were banished. Why so? Because we are talking about Ram here. So the intervening phrase is not is ignored basically. Okay. Whenever you use connectives or apostatives like accompanied by and all of that. Okay. A number of, the number of, a number of is whenever it's countable, it's plural. Okay. If it's the number of is always a singular. A number is plural, the number is singular. A number of students are going on the trip. A number of students are going, sorry, I'm not, take this off, are, right? It's plural, verb is plural. Okay. If I were to say now in this example where it's a singular, I'll say the number of students in the class is low. Okay. I thought you enjoyed the forenoon session, but I see that attendance doesn't seem to reflect that. So what went wrong? Afternoons are very debilitating and incapacitating people here. Is it? After lunch, they can't hold vertical postures, they have to be horizontal. Is it? You guys are young, man, 20, 21. You should be bursting with energy. Right? I don't know what happened. I thought people enjoyed the class. At least they pretended to do so. I don't know. The singular verb. So here, see, when you use the number, right, you will use singular. If you see a number, you will use plural. Can you see that? A singular verb form is usually used for units of measurement or time, right? So whenever you use any number like 5 gallons of oil was, you'll use singular, right? So some units you will use any unit. It can be gallons, kgs, liters, whatever else, right? It will be singular in nature. When any of, few, many, several, both, all, some is used with a countable noun, the verb is plural, right? So what you need to distinguish is, if it's countable, it's plural, otherwise it is singular. Oops, this is okay. That's a mess. Okay, read it as non-countable. Why is it in an angle? Anyway, maybe I'm writing in an angle. Okay, is it okay? When any of few, many, several, both, all, some is used with uncountable is singular. So you can just remember this, that if it's countable it is plural, if it's uncountable it is singular. That constancy is there, right? Countable is plural, uncountable is singular. Is that fine? All right. Okay. So I will not look at tricks and tips and all that. I think that will take us away to something. Okay, this is again something for description of it. Let's look at some examples, the simple ones, and then we will what's the answer here for the first one? Talks. Okay. What about the second one? They read or reads? Good. Joe goes to the coffee shop, right? Why so? Joe is singular. Verb should be singular, right? The noun is singular, so verb should be singular. They is plural. Right. Right is, this noun is plural, verb is plural. Okay, they is plural, right is plural. Jim sings well, singular. Sorry. So singular and plural of helping verbs we'll just see. If you see till this point is where it's different, the singular and plural. After this exactly the same. The singular and plural are the same. Okay. So is, are, does, do, has, have. All other forms, verb forms are both the singular and the plural are the same. Okay. So again, subject verb agreement is a question when in the present tense. Otherwise, you don't have to concern yourself on that, right? If it's either the past or the future, you don't have to concern. Not a concern when spoken in the past or the future tense, as the verbs forms remains the same. Because the monkeys ate banana, those monkeys ate banana. Or we can say the monkey ate banana. I'll take this off, make it singular, right? Those monkeys ate banana. Is there any change in the verb form between these two? No. Yes or no? No. Why is it not changed? Is because exactly subject and verb is a concern. The agreement is a concern only the present tense. Right? You don't have to worry about it. It's spoken in the past. Because they walk to school. What's the subject here? They. Is it plural or singular? Plural. Walk is the verb. Is there a singular plural there? You don't have to concern yourself. They walk to school. He walked to school. Is there any variation there in the verb form? So you don't have to concern yourself if it is an action in the past. Okay? The subject verb agreement is a challenge only when spoken in the present tense. Alright? The boy walked to school. Those boys walk to school. The verb form doesn't change. The verb form doesn't change. It's the same. Mark lived in Florida. Mark and Anna lived in Florida. Here it's a subject is singular, subject is plural, but the verb is doesn't change. Verb is the same for both. Okay. So let's look at the verb be. Okay. In the present tense, and I put it in the past tense. In the singular, first person singular it's I. Second person singular is he, she, it. Right. The verb form for be is am. For I. For he, she, it is. For you, we, they, which is in plural, it is are. How about in the past? I, he, she, it is was, and you, we, they are were, which is the subject and the verb agree. Right? Is that fine? So it's common. Right? So I just made a differentiation here, because here it'll be was and here it'll be is. The difference is because of the tense. Otherwise it's the same. Tense changes, that's all. But both are. Can you see both are plural? Are and were are plural. Right? Okay, before I go there, right? The talks are going on as scheduled or scheduled, depending on American or UK pronunciation. So here, talks, is it a verb or a noun? Do you get that? So if it's a noun, is it singular or plural? Plural, right? The noun is plural. If the noun is plural, the verb will be okay. So we are talking about the talks here, which is a noun. It's not a verb. If talks were the verb, it will be singular. You get that? Anything with any verb with a s is going to be singular. S or es. Anything with s or es will be singular. So can you see the difference between a word can show up either as a verb or a noun, and you need to know whether it's showing up as a verb or a noun, and you make the adjustment accordingly. It looks pretty okay. Okay, we did this. So we saw that, right? Intervening expressions do not affect the verb. So when you're talking about Jimmy, like we said Ram along with Lakshman and Sita, we said, right? So we are talking about Ram. The same here, Jimmy, we are talking about Jimmy, and the verb is, this is singular, so this is going to be singular. Alright. So let's try out this exercise, and then maybe we'll take a break. What's the time? Okay. We'll do this and take a break, or 4. Okay. We'll do this and take a break. So Kiran together with some neighbors. Was, because this intervening phrase is to be ignored. So it's going to be, we are talking about Kiran here. Mother Teresa, many people say, of course, was, right? The Spaniards as well as the prisoners was a verb. Why war? Because Spaniards are, alright. Kalpana Chawla along with other brave women has or have. Okay. Our heroes, including Bhagat Singh, are courageous, right? Because we are referring to the principal as well as the vice principal, sorry, the principal as well as the vice principal. We are talking about the principal here is coming. Okay. So when you use along with, it will be have. I had a doubt there, right there. It will be have instead of has. Whenever you use this connector along with, okay. So anywhere you can use an and, it becomes plural, right? So it becomes a plural verb. So it will be a plural subject and it will be a plural verb. Word instead of. Let's try this. A car and a bike are my means of transportation. The dog and the cat run around the house. You put the and. Joe and I spend, which is plural, right? Raghu and his friends were able to present something on school day. Textbook and notebook provides or provide information about the lesson. Alright. So whenever these are again exceptions or other rules, you would say, not exceptions, rules, where you would, when a compound subject is joined by neither nor, either or, the verb agrees with the nearest subject. You have to look at what is the nearest subject to the verb, and it should agree with that verb, that number. Okay. So here, either Anu or her friends, because friends are plural, this will be plural. Either his friends or Kevin. Kevin is singular, so this is going to be singular. Neither Krish nor Joe takes up this agreement because singular, singular. Okay. Neither pens nor pencils are. This is plural. This is going to be plural. Okay. Okay. When you use neither nor, either or, you will go to the nearest subject. So neither burgers nor pastas taste. Okay, because this is in plural. Either Shruti or her sister cooks tonight. Sister is in singular, so the verb will be in singular. Neither of them are available to speak. When you say them, it's in plural, so this is going to be in plural. Either of us, when you say either of us, what happens? Singular or plural? Either. Either is one of them. Either is one of them, right? Either of us is capable of, it's not are capable, is capable of, either is one, right? So is capable of doing the job. Either James or Mary has hidden the sweets. Neither the van nor the car is fast enough. Singular, right? So what's the rule we saw? Nearer subject. Okay. Neither of them. Okay, here again it's neither of them. Here again it's singular. Sorry, I made a mistake here. It's only. Why? Because though this is plural, it's one of them. Do you get that? Singular. This is going to be singular. Okay, all else is fine. Okay, neither, either, all of them is about one person, though the we are talking about a collection of people, or we are talking about one person. Either is one, right? Either is also one. So sentences start with there or here. Subject is always placed after the verb. So care needs to be taken to identify it correctly. So first is you need to identify the subject to be able to agree with the number. Okay. There is a problem with the balance sheet. Problem is the subject. Okay, it's time. We'll just complete this slide. Okay, there are problems with the balance sheet. Here it's plural. It just come up, I think, right? This is subject. Based on the subject, the verb agrees with it. Okay, so control shift and 3, right? Control Shift 2. Control Shift 2, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Right third. Will be nice. That is informing influence. The subject. Alright.
So as you can see, there is a problem with the balance sheet, and there are problems with the balance sheet is based on the verb matching with the subject problem or problems is and are. So, so when it comes to count, what would it be? Is or are? Unanimous? Okay. How about the next one? Here is the bag that you want to borrow. Again, here are your things needed for your field trip. There are three problems that cannot be solved, that he cannot solve right now, sorry. Here is your math book, okay? Here are the sales report based on the subject. Sales is plural, math is singular, and so we go. Oh, sorry. Why is that? The report is singular. Okay, sales is not the point. It's about the report. It's one report, right? All right. Expression about money, time, weight, and volume. Now it will be singular. 3 weeks is a long time. You will always use singular. It will be $200 is a lot of money. It's not are a lot of money, right? Did you get that? $300 is a long way. Is a long way to go on a bicycle. 1/3 of this article is taken up with statistical analysis. Half of what he writes is undocumented. Much of the book seems seems 50 rupees for this job is less. All right, is, seems, and is. Okay. All right. All right. The indefinite pronouns like anyone, no one, anybody, nobody, everyone, everybody, somebody, someone take singular. So we saw this earlier, right? So you will use everybody is welcome, somebody keeps on knocking the door. All will be in singular. Nobody is ready to take up the challenge. All are in singular. Let's look at some examples. Everybody is tired after this workout. Nobody I know is efficient for this job. Everyone is to apply for this test. Someone in this group is the culprit. Dash, there anyone to help? Is there anyone who wants to help? Because wants is singular. Among these children, someone is ready for the drill. So it's all about someone, somebody, anyone, anybody, everyone, everybody, no one, nobody. All of that variations will have a singular verb. Okay, so there's no googlies here, there's no variations, or you can say anomalies or any of it. It's straightforward. Okay, indefinite pronouns like most, all, many, a few, some take plural. So this you have to kind of remember this, right? Most, all, many, a few, some. These are about indefinite pronouns, right? Most of them are here already. A few of my friends are from Italy. All of my friends are from Italy. Italy or Italy. Let's look at all she wants was a few. Is it moments or moment? Moments. Okay. Whenever a few comes, what do we see here? Most, all, many, a few take plural. All she wanted was a few moments on her own. Okay, a few of his films were seen abroad, or was seen abroad? Were seen abroad. There dash some birds in a garden. There are, right? Do you have any plan or plans? Plans is singular or plural? Singular. Verb. Singular. S with a S is singular. Okay. Plan is plural. Shall we invite some friends around? Some friends around. Okay. Shall we invite few? Shall we invite some friend around? Okay, both are friends only. Okay, around, it says round, but friends around maybe. Okay, so did you get that? Moments, were, are, plans, friends, and friends. So you got all of that, right? So we have a collective, right? A collective is something like a subject, civics, math, history, geography, any subject area or any of that will be a collective noun, is treated as a singular. It's a collection of it, it becomes a singular, unless there is a strong reason that is treated otherwise. Okay, so any of it can be economics, ethics, the whole set of it, right? Any collective noun, gang, pack, dynasty, math, mathematics, army, all of that, right? The audience is happy because audience is a collective noun and is treated as a singular, as one, right? The whole collection is treated as one. All right, now why is it the audience are all wearing comedy wigs? We are here, what is getting referred to is the wigs, the comedy wigs, which is in plural. Did you get that? So what is it referring to is what we need to match the subject and the verb. Do you get that? Here we are talking about the wigs. The earlier we were talking about the audience. Okay,
Sir, which is the most important important event of hearing?
say that again.
Like there is both subject and the verb, like hearing.
Hmm.
Hearing is even more important. That's why we are giving arts.
See, varying is not what is being referred. It's the comedy wigs, the wigs we are talking about, which is in plural. Do you get that? All wearing comedy wigs. Okay. The members of the audience are happy. The group is happy with its performance. Okay. Because a group, you're taking it as a collective. The choir is out of tune. Again, a collective noun, right? Just like mathematics, civics, history, whatever, right? A collection. The committee is happy with its decision. Her favorite sport is gymnastics. This is pretty straight. That news was, why? Because news is a collective noun. So it will be singular. Not were fake, but was fake. Okay. Alright. And members is plural, so we will use are, right? Though we have used audience here, right? We are talking members of the audience, so it's going to be plural, right? If it was a singular, you will have a singular verb, right? We are pointing to one person who's as a part of the audience, right? And that person is a singular, of course. Then your will be, the verb will be is happy. All right. Here we are talking about the members of the audience, right? Which is in plural, so the verb will be in plural. So when the subject indicates a fraction, percentage, part, majority, sum, none, remainder, etc., the verbs with the noun in the verb agrees with the noun in the of the phrase. Okay. 50% of the peas are gone. So here of the, whatever comes in the phrase will be what will dictate whether the verb is a singular or a plural. All the pie is gone. Okay. Pie is in singular, so it will be is. 2/3 of the pie is gone. Right? Whenever it's a fraction, and if you see of 2/3 of the pie, which is again a singular, will be in singular. Part of the program is hosted by her. Majority of politicians are less educated, right? We are talking about politicians in the plural. 30% of students are sick, right? Any number comes, you will have it as are. 1/4 of the candidates are eligible for next challenge. Most of us are not ready to face the reality. Again, it's a plural, so it will be a plural. 1/4 of Indians go abroad. Isn't fine? pronouns who, that, which are the subjects of the verb in the middle of the sentence. They become singular or plural according to the noun before them. Who, that, which. Okay. Faisal is the scientist who writes the reports. So the pronouns who, that, which are the subjects of the verb in the middle of the sentence. So you will have the verb matching that subject. So if you see, Faisal is the scientist who writes the report, which is writes is singular or plural? Singular. Okay. He is one of the men who do the work. Men is plural and do is plural. Okay. Okay. The number of people who die in traffic accidents is surprising. Okay. It's in plural, right? The number of people is in plural, die is in plural. Are you knowing the girl who is over there? You're talking, the subject is the girl and will match, the verb will match the subject, the girl. The man who is standing over there is my father. Luck comes to those who looks for it or look for it? Look for it. Okay, not looks for it, right? Why? Because to those is a plural, so verb will be plural. Archaeologists are those who hunt or hunts, hunt for clues. Okay, because again the subject is plural, so the verb will be in plural. Those who do not wish to go need not go. Again the plural, the subject is in plural, so the verb will be in plural. Clear? Okay, this you can always remember it. It's quite easy. Anything uncountable always will be singular, right? And countable will be in plural. Okay. Now, if it's a quantity, say, of kilometers, gallons, liters, or something, again that will come as singular. Okay. 50 kgs is a lot of weight.
But it's finite.
Yeah. Say that again.
But it's finite. 50 kg is finite.
Exactly. It's countable and it's finite. Okay. So anything that is uncountable means singular. Anything that you can't measure, like any emotion, any kind of these are all education, any concept, any idea, right? Education is not, can you measure education? You can't. Or any emotion, say love, guilt, happiness, all of that, you can't measure it, you can't put a value to it, so then it is in singular. Okay. Education is the key to success. It's in singular. Diabetes affects many people around the world. Why diabetes is in singular because it is uncountable. Okay. Her advice was a boon. Okay. Happiness is, right, uncountable. It's an emotion. Is what you see in your parents' smile. Failure is the stepping stone for success. Traveling gives you knowledge about cultures. Okay. Beauty lies in honesty. Traffic, again a collective, it will be in singular, is the biggest issue in Bangalore. If a gerund or an infinitive comes as a subject, the verb will always be singular. Swimming is a good exercise. Walking is a good habit, right? There again, you're talking about anything with an ing ending, right? A verb with ing ending, you would have it as a singular. Okay. Sorry. All right. Eating, walking, swimming, talking, walking, hacking, whatever else. Okay. So then it will be taking a singular verb. So let's look and do some exercises here. Annie and her brothers are at school. Why? The nearest is a, and anyway, and is there. Sorry, it's a compound subject anyway. So automatically we'll have, even if it's a brother, it will be Annie and her brother are at school. Okay, it will never be singular. What about the next one? Either my mother or my father is coming to the meeting. Singular, because it's either or, which is one subject, singular. So it will be singular. The dog or the cats are outside. Why? The cats is the closest subject and the verb will take on the subject which is closest. Okay. Either my shoes or your coat is always on the floor. Is because the coat is singular. Okay. George and Tamara. When you put two people and make it a compound subject and, it's going to be plural. Don't is plural, doesn't is singular. So it's going to be don't. Okay. Benito doesn't know the answer. Singular, because it's one subject. That's good. Alright. How about this one? One of my sisters is or are? It's one of my sisters. Oops. And why is that? It's fully displaying here. Huh? So what do I do? Oops. What do I do? Okay, I'll just read it out. One of my sisters, in brackets, is / are going to a trip to France. Why is one of my sisters? Okay. The next one is there, no? The man with all the birds lives or live. Why? We are talking about the man. The intervening phrase is to be ignored, right? We are talking about the man. So the man with all the birds lives on my street. The man is singular. So the verb will be in singular. The movie, including all the previews, takes about 2.5 hours to watch. The players as well as the captain want to win. Okay, the intervening phrases as well as the captain. We are talking about the players here, which is plural, so the verb should be in plural. How about the next one? Either answer is acceptable. All right, either of it, that's one of them. Okay, every one of those books, every one of those books is or are. Whenever you say everyone, no one, everybody, nobody, you will use singular actually. Is fiction. Okay, next, nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Right, you'll use singular. Knows is singular. Is the news at 5 or 6. News is collective noun which is singular, so the verb will be in singular. Mathematics is again a collective noun, is singular. Is John's favorite subject? Why? Civics again a collective noun, is Andrea's favorite subject. Do you get that? Every one of those books is fiction, not are fiction. Okay, is fiction. Kind of nailed it. We did, right? All right. Okay. Okay. The furniture was a verb. Oh, okay. The furniture in brackets was a verb, mostly old. Was a verb. And why is it was? Collective noun. Okay. Next, mathematics. Collective noun again, right? Is a favorite subject, her favorite subject. Some of the students in class B is some of the students. It will be in plural. Were sad that they did not pass. Okay, here's the one. There, go or goes. Why go? Rahul and his wife is a compound subject, plural. So verb will be in plural. So it will be go. Next, the boy with his goofy friends. Buy or buys? Huh? Saying buy. How many buy? How many buys? Okay. The buys have it, the buys have it. Okay. Why so? The boy. We are talking about the boy, not his. The intervening phrase is not relevant. We ignore that. We are talking about the boy who's a singular, so he will, the buys is a singular. Okay. Okay. Sharon's clothes were out of fashion. Clothes is in plural. Were will be in plural. Domino's is an example of fine American eatery. That's very ironic, but we'll take it as an example. All right. They serve junk food. Okay. Anyway, is right is an example of whatever. The Americans. Okay, it's followed there. Eat or eats. Eat, right? Plural because Americans is plural, right? India is or are. India is bordered because here we are taking India, which is a singular. Okay. Here you're not. It's an uncountable amount. If it's uncountable, it will always take singular. Oh, good. Okay. There is or hyphen, oblique are a crazy amount of money in the drawer. There is or are? There is, right? I'm coming back to the original. Okay. All right. Okay. We are done here, but we have time. What was the other thing? We did 4 topics today, right? One is we did parts of speech, then we did one word substitution, then we did prepositions, and then we did subject-verb agreement. That's 4 topics, right? Alright. And we did a variety of other things. Generally, just relevant for you to track the recruitment process. Alright. Okay, so you have any questions for me? Not specific to English and language, but it can be more general and more, it can be broader in its inquiry and questioning. We have some time. I can walk you through another set of exercises which will probably take you, I don't know. So, have a good amount of time. Maybe take another topic. Shall we?
What is your career?
Huh? What's my
Career. What is it like?
I didn't have to say it again.
So your career. What was?
Oh, in the IT industry? Okay, so I joined as an associate in Inflection, which is got absorbed into Oracle Financial Services. And then I was software engineer, first as support engineer, then development engineer. Then I moved to Hewlett Packard, HP, right? There I worked as again a senior software engineer. Then moved into project management. I did some project management, then moved on to do infrastructure management, ITES, IT infrastructure services, right? I was configuration manager for business division for HP called IPG IT, Imaging Processing Group, right? So that was more into the managed services business. I've done some stints in pre-sales and addressing RFPs and RFIs, which are request for proposal and request for
information, RFI. Like these are pre-sales process where we do technical evaluation for the sales process. Okay, so these are things I did. I was not so much into the software engineering parts, that's why moved out and went into finance. I was pursuing my CFA charter. I don't expect you have heard about it. The Chartered Financial Analyst. Have you heard about it? Any chance? No. Okay, so this is in investment banking. So it's global destination investment banking, and I have completed all 3 others. And this is more to do with. So I do other things other than stints in trading, where I come here, right? I do financial modeling, investment advisory, and related areas. Okay, so uh, I deliver some subjects in finance to MBA students in investment banking, in economics. So that's a little state of me. It's a kind of not a very straightforward path. It's a little checkered in the way, right? So that's a little bit of it. So you may be more keen to understand how a software career is built or started with and all of that. That may be more relevant for you, right? So yeah, so you have a recruitment process, right? You have campus interviews and the campus process, right? So you have first thing is you have to track. See, the whole recruitment process. If you look at it from a company's perspective, it comes from initially more than a selection. It's almost like a filtration process, right? So the volume of the candidacy is so high that somewhere they have to narrow it down, right? So it's not so much about selection, but so much more about somehow to filter out to get to a smaller subset of candidates to select from. And that's what they're doing, right? And that's the nature of it because there's a huge asymmetry in the number of people who apply and the number of positions available, right? And that's where that comes in. So what you need to pay attention to is that you are in no way signaling in any way to be not considered because they are always finding reasons not to consider in a way, right? More than it's like if you have a pocket, say a filtration process where it's like say 1:10 in the first filter, right? And then if we go to 1:2 or whatever, right? So there may be standard practices that will have to do with written tests, cutoffs, all of that, right? If you clear that first one, then you are in your odds improve tremendously, right? The odds improve tremendously because maybe from 100 you come down to a 20 maybe 1:5 or even maybe 1:10, right? From there on, your odds would be maybe 1:2. I'm just guessing. I don't know. I'm not so keen into the fresher recruitment scene, right? And how it goes these days. I'm not so keen into that. But you can quite really logically see that uh, the first filter will be the most stringent or more eliminated. I mean, there's a lot of elimination which happens there. After that, progressively it becomes better and better, right? So, it'll be likely if you clear everything and miss out on the XR, right? Right. So that will be really embarrassing, right? Because you have picked up all the attributes of the qualities that required for you to be a potential employee, right? And source a person, right? So we can look at that also. What are the ways you be with so that you are you're fairly looked at, okay? Yeah. Did I answer your question? I can all yes. Yes. Yeah. All right. So yeah. Any questions? Anything a little? So the online streamers can't post questions, is it?
They can. They try between the
If they want to If there are anyone there, they can pose questions if they want.
So like as you mentioned, we can clear all the rounds, but if you lost the HR round, it's a weird thing. Like, how can we be different in the HR round? Like, to answer the questions, like, say about those.
Yeah. So the thing is that the HR round usually is not a very rigorous round. In the sense that, especially as you're not backwards, you're not lagging reports, as in with experience, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, right? As a fresher, you don't have much baggage and you don't have much of a evaluation actually. As long as your attitude is right, as long as you're not throwing up warning flags or you're screaming out, do not let go, right? You may not be doing intentionally, right? But in a way you're communicating, you are either inflexible, difficult, whatever, in the way you are approaching, right? So there's something about your attitude that may not align with their work ethos, their culture, be a team player. So there are some questions that may kind of expose you to see uh, if you will make a good team player. Now there's two extremes to this. There's one ideology or a philosophy which is individualistic, and there is the other extreme which is collectivism, right? And neither two extremes are desirable, right? If I see from a cultural perspective, if you see the American, the European models is extremely individualistic, okay? And if you look at the Far East cultures, it's collective, right? In a big way, right? And people are looking at a mix and match of somewhere at a golden middle, okay? So you can be competitive, that's great, right? But is your competitiveness detrimental to people around you? Okay? So, so this will not be so much of a challenge in the evaluation for a fresher. They may not be rigorously kind of filtering anyone during the HR. Otherwise, other than if you have communicated in some way that there's a very high chance you may not stick around for even a reasonable amount of time, right? Where in some way you're communicating that you may not stay around for a long time. I'll tell you why that's an important aspect. Fresher recruitments, given the way education is set up and the syllabus and all of it, right, academia, there's a gap between what is required in the industry and what's offered by academia, the universities. There's a considerable gap, right? And to bridge the gap, companies are investing considerable amount of resources to bring you up to speed to be employable directly into a project where you are billable as a resource to the client, right? And all of them, all the large ones, be it Infosys or TCS or any of them, you can take it, have dedicated centers of excellence where people go through training, a rigorous training process, right, for a few months, 4 to 6 months, right? Now, all this costs enormous amounts of money for the company, right? Now, if you see you become profitable maybe after 1 or 1.5 years yearly for the company, right? You break even maybe around 1.5 years. Now, if there is attrition, right, in the initial time, say within a year or a year and a half or something like that, that is something they want to avoid. Getting the point? Now, can they eliminate it? Definitely not. Right? Because the brighter or the more equipped or competent the resources, the more the mobility and the risk of attrition. Right? And they recognize it. Right? it's not a one or none kind of situation, right? They are doing their best to see if you make a good fit in the company on a cultural basis, on a work ethic basis, all of that, right? Attitude basis, all of that. Uh, that's what they are valuing, right? Especially in an HR kind of a situation. They may have some valuation that happens during the technical rounds also, because they're assessing, right? So if you have gone through that, you should automatically HR round in many companies. Don't take it lightly. For 90-95% cases, may be a format. It's possible, right? So if you are messing up the HR round, it's you. Okay? People don't usually reject an HR if you have gone through a series of, you did the written test, maybe did a person review, you may even did a GD, and then you are in the HR round, say, right? You're pretty much in action, right? So from there to be out is that you have communicated or did something that clearly is communicating that you may not be a good fit in the organization, right? So don't stress yourself on that. You should be fine, right? As long as you are straightforward and sensible, I don't see uh, much of a challenge there. Yeah, yes, people if they have big challenges in communication, they may be technically good. They have done well in their written and their technical rounds and all of that. But if they are particularly poor in communication analytics, it still may be overlooked, right? That may not be a cause for elimination, but if it's really a concern or something, they may look at reconsider possibly. But I would say not very likely. It's a vanity. I would say 90-95% you are in most, right? So if you are at that stage to come out and not be selected will be a rarity. Hope I answered this. This is my assessment in what I've seen. You know.
Uh,
Sure.
So at the start, we talked a bit about giving the interviewer what he wants to hear. But I've like taken like few interviews for an organization, and it gets pretty clear that like the other person is trying to just impress me and like just give me what I want to hear. And like done with it. There's no individuality or anything. So is it like a bad thing to just squeeze the interviewer and like not give out your thoughts?
So, is there something which actually happened that you want to share so that we can? Because it becomes a little conceptual, and my answer is going to be a little conceptual that may not serve you. If you can actually give me an instance where it happened.
Yeah, so it happened with me. So I was giving an interview,
Uh-huh.
and there was like a question. I had my answer in my head, but I also knew what the other person wanted to hear. Like it was kind of like a dedication to that internship or that thing. So I kind of exaggerated the truth and made him feel better that it.
Yeah. You can pull it off, you should pull it off. That's fine. It depends on what your intention is, right? What's your motive, right?
So is that like do they catch you? Catch you?
They're not. No. They're not mind readers normally. No one is, right? There may be some people who are extremely cocky and all that, but generally, as general rule of thumb, you're fine, right? That's what I'm saying. If you were to slightly oversell yourself on all of that, that's fine. That normally happens. But definitely don't understand. Okay. Underselling is a negative. Overselling is fine. As long as you don't go on top of it. Right? Just going overboard. Right? I don't think any of you would do that. Yeah, so it's about your motive of what you say. You are not in an effort to uh, make the truth visible to people and all that, right? It's not about you telling your truth, right? It's not some evangelical or some kind of an exercise of what they call it, right? You're proposing something and you want people to know something, your ideas, who you are, and all that. It's not about that. It's a certain clear set context of you want to land the job. So you want to say the right things. And people also get that, right? It's not like you sign up, you're going to be for the rest of the life. They don't expect you, right? So, and they would know that you're saying maybe the right answers also. That's fine.
So do they expect the same or they want something else?
In a sense,
Like that question I'm asking similar things. Like if the interviewer expects the same answer, what he wants, or if it's fine if he gets the other answer.
it depends on how you put it across, right? And it may vary from person to person, right? Some people really are say impressed that you have a different perspective to bring to the table, right? So it's quite unique and personal to the person who's interviewing you. You can size him up also. If he's a little um, insistent of the way I think is most important, or he's a little unsettled also, you may want to be more pandering, right? If not, if you are someone who's very self-assured, if you give a variety of answers or you offer answers which have different dimension or different perspective you bring to the table, that will be very deeply appreciated. Right? You may see as much as you're sizing the other person, you're also sizing the interviewer is sizing the interviewee. The interviewee is also sizing the interviewer. Maybe not consciously, but you're always looking at what should I say that will pull a yes. Ultimately, that's what it is. Right? So there's no one answer to it. That's one. You will get a sense of by the response and all that you can tell it. Right? Whether people appreciate variety, novelty, lack of thinking, or people appreciate more orthodox, time-tested solution or fact-based. So these two extremes, some are adventurous, some are conservative. You need to see where the spectrum. It's not like a 1 and 0 kind of a thing, but people tend to side at a certain level at some pace, right? Some are more conservative than open-minded and adventurous, some are more adventurous and less conservative. So your answer will be tailored to please that person or to make that person comfortable and look at you with a positive perspective, right? That answer your question. So we always assume there is the answer or one answer that kind of will do the trick. There is no such thing, right? It's dynamic and it varies based on people involved, right? Any other questions? And why is it that these chairs never get taken? Waiting for some VIPs to walk in or something? And I see it even in the morning. Oh, morning some people are there. Oh, persons are listening. Anyway, so anything, any other question? Anything else? I can even briefly touch upon resume writing if you want that. It's something that you want to kind of look at. Okay. Maybe it's practical that you want to um, get it, get it right. Right? So we can look at it because that's not on the agenda, but we can look at it. What else? Yeah. Any other? I can't hear you. Can you? Do you want to step little? Step up and up here a little. Maybe sit closer.
So, how can you judge whether you are actively or passive?
You will know, right, by the responses. Wouldn't you know by the responses? Right. You will have some sense. I'm not saying you will have absolute clarity about it, right? But you know, you have some drift of where he is at or she is at. You can never know for sure, right? But if new ideas are appreciated or there's some unconventional thinking that raises an eyebrow or has something that is acknowledged, appreciated, you will definitely know is someone who is looking for risk-taking, adventure, looking at it from different perspectives, right? As opposed to someone who is conservative, who trusts in the most well-established path, right? Who sticks with the rules, or will get some sense, right? They're not going to communicate overtly, but they are some ways communicating. Every sentence and word spoken is communicating. It's all about how keenly are we listening, right? Because when people say something, what you need to get catch is the context from which they are speaking. I'm not saying it's easy, but you can definitely make an attempt. There's a context from which that person is speaking will really get to why he is saying what he is saying, right? And if you can get that to some extent, you don't have to really open that. You have kind of flipped it to your favor. Because ultimately, usually to be fresher than me, I don't think they have panels enough. It's just one person. You know, resource, right? Resource consent. They don't spend that kind of resource on. If it's lateral, we have 2 or 3 also. I've been part. So, did that answer your question? Sure.
So what are some nice tips for introduction? Like the first thing that we say is most of us like we get blank when someone asks. Like there's something about this, like do we talk about projects or what do we talk about?
Right. Now I'm going to give you a solution. I know how many will follow it. Right? This is time tested. It works brilliant. But there are barriers to it. In the sense that so it's like first of all is that the first step is that you write down your answer. Because there are certain questions that are stock questions. They're not going to let you go without asking those questions. One of the most where they start is it's kind of a lazy question, but they say, tell me something about yourself or give me a background of yourself or whatever else they say, right? It's kind of just kind of an icebreaker, let's start talking, right? Now, this is a question which you is not some suddenly came on you and it's a surprise, right? This is a question that's where you start from, right? Now, how prepared are you to answer it? Have you put the intellectual effort to see if it's the best answer you can come up with? Have you done some iterations of how the answer can be prepared and presented? Because what you prepare and what you present is what takes the day. It's not about what you say so much. What you say matters. I'm not saying it's not, but can you see that intellectual effort and has not gone into preparing that, right? So the first step is writing it down, right? And you have first iteration. You have first iteration of writing it down, right? The second most important is, or even more important, I would say, is that you deliver this answer into a mirror. Mirror work. How many people have done mirror work here? Wow, super. Okay, good. Not bad. Anyone else there? Alright.
Now, how much mirror work have you done? How many hours?
Not just
5 minutes?
before, like,
Nah.
interviews.
This is the real thing. If you want to be a cut above the rest, you don't really want to differentiate yourself. First of all, be with the mirror. Be with the person in the mirror. Now, it will take something on your part, intellectually, emotionally, in your being. Right? There are people like there was Prahalad who was not willing to look at me. And I don't think I'm a threatening person. Right? I'm not some Hitler with a small bush, like a real guy. Right? And I'm not one of your professors or lecturers who has some internal marks, some whatever impact, right? There's no cost to it, right? And I think I'm very non-intimidating. I even want to be a very innocuous, harmless guy. Alright? And people, and I'm not just taking an example, it's not that it's speaking it. People are not with the person. Now, if you go to an interview and you're not with the person, you think you can be connected to him or her? If you can't look into the eye and speak and communicate assertively, effectively, you think you have a chance? Not in hell, right? More so if it's to do with, if you're looking at bank jobs and jobs which are, or even in the IT industry, you have sales and other kind of, not many, but there are, right? Most definitely not, right? Sales, pre-sales, marketing, you have other roles which are available. May not be the same numbers of software, but software is maybe a little less stringent, but it's very much there, right? If you can't be with the person in the interview, what will you speak and communicate, and where will the communication happen? It's not going to happen, right? So the first step in the process is being with the person in the mirror. And I'm not talking about. So the only time you are with a mirror is when you wake up, especially for the parasites. But I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying being with yourself. Here, just be. As you be with, as you keep being with yourself in the mirror, you'll see something miraculous happen. And I'm not talking about one instance you will be there for a second or 2 or 5 minutes or less. Really be with the mirror. Be with the person in the mirror. Right? As tears may come out, so many things may happen. There will be a transformation. I promise you this. There will be a transformation where you are in being with the person in the mirror, which is you. Right? As you master that, right? When you go for an interview, you will be with the person. You will be at ease, calm, collected, confident. Absolutely, your body language is sure. Where you can speak with confidence, articulate clearly, and not be concerned about anything. Or the concerns don't show up as threats, right? They may be concerned, but they are more important the background, right? So I recommend this very emphatically, and I'm telling you, after speaking all of this, trust me, maybe 10 or 20% may do the work I'm recommending. Because there's a natural resistance to be with yourself. This is a human condition. It's nothing unique to you or me. This is how humans are. Trust me, the mirror work you've done would be in fleeting amounts of time. Right? Accurate? No? No. You have spent a lot of time. You may be an exception, that's it. Okay? I can poll 100 people, I would say 99 or 98 of them will answer that we hardly did know. Okay? So that's something that you can really make it up. So this is all there is. This is no rocket science. Right? Every day you allocate, you don't have to allocate a lot of time, 15 minutes. You start 15 minutes. You think it is unproductive? Trust me, all the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that, YouTube, whatever else, all that you do, if you really account for it, you'll be spending a lot of time chit-chatting, gossiping, whatever else, right?
doing the mirror work, right? Just being is the first step, right? Then you can raise it up to even half an hour. Great. There are phenomenally powerful people who are a lot of leaders of exceptional achievements and all people to mirror. Did you know that a lot of public speakers and influencers and all of them do a lot of mirror? Are you aware of this? They do. They do a lot of mirror work. Okay? So you can start 15 minutes, definitely go to half an hour. You can go more, but I'd say recommend 15, start 15, maybe 5, then build up 15, and then go to maybe half an hour. Right? Now, that's the first step. The next one is delivering what you have. Delivering the question. You ask the question into the mirror and you deliver the answer. The first time you deliver the answer, most probably you'll be shocked the way you speak. Trust me on this. You'll be shocked. Anyone had that experience? Yeah. They've been great. They've been honest, authentic. They've been shocked because the diction is poor, the flow is not there, the stammering. It doesn't land. You're not convinced. If I was the person giving myself a thought, I cannot give it. Right? I correct? Right? And that may be an excuse not to sit in front of a mirror. Because I'll tell you about the brain. The brain always wants to avoid discomfort. It will find a million ways to avoid something that makes you uncomfortable. And sitting in front of a mirror is uncomfortable. Trust me on that. It's uncomfortable for me to some extent. Right? And it's going to be uncomfortable for you. And that's the nature of human beings. It's nothing unique to you as a personal phenomenon. It's a human phenomenon. Okay? So that's where you start. You start being with the person in the mirror. Next step is delivering answers. Right? Now, you may find many things. One is the flow is not there. Right? The ability to articulate and be effective in your communication is not there. Maybe the content you're delivering is not what you think is the best possible presentation. You want to go back to the drawing board and rewrite. Take some help. Collaborate. I know you're competitors, but you can be collaborators also. Right? Because you're not competing just with the person next to you, you're competing with the rest of the world. Right? If you collaborate, you're going to be more effective and you will be a resource person for another and the other person will be a resource person for you. And trust me, when you discuss and engage with people, there are ideas that will show up that never would have showed up in your own inquiry. Have you ever noticed that? The best example is you can try to teach someone some concept. Can you see that you will understand it much better, deeper than when you on your own studied something? And that's the nature of all of this inquiry. So when you engage with the other person, there is another perspective that comes that is not available to you because you are always looking from a certain perspective, a certain dimension, right? The other person brings that freshness. If you are 2 or 3 or 4, great. Don't make it too large. 2, 3 is good. 2, 3, 4 is great. If you are able to get it that kind of getting to it, right? So that's the second step. The third step can be actually having a walk, right? And that may include a little bit of preparation, a little bit of role play, right? It will simulate closely the real thing, right? So you can have 2 people to introduce so that it becomes you are simulating the original or the what you will actually do in reality on the board. Okay, so that will really set you up, right? And there should be a certain level of seriousness and a certain level of sense of purpose. Don't make it funny, don't make it casual, don't make it right some entertainment or something. You can have fun around. I'm not saying be get serious, right? But at the same time, bring in that rigor and seriousness into it, right? So you can do these steps, and this will really go a long way. And trust me on this, I can bet my life. If you do all these things, you are in the at least the 90th or 95th percentile. Trust me on this. On a much larger sample space, I'm talking about, right? Because people know what to do, the right thing to do, but how many people do it? Very less, right? The moment you put yourself and commit yourself to do it, you're pretty much in the 95th percentile, right? You're in the top one. And what are the chances? Your chances vastly improve, right? So these are the steps I would say. Alright? Any other questions? It's okay. It's okay as long as it's not a thing set to like you're not defensive about it. Not like an excuse. See, that's the whole thing. When you communicate something, you either communicate it as a handicap, an excuse, or taking responsibility. And it's a whole different word. If you acknowledge that you're nervous, but you're willing to own it up, there's a different level of communication as opposed to, oh, I am a fresher, I am nervous, Baba, Dene Baba. I'm exaggerating and dramatizing, but we get the contrast. Yeah? Yeah, I'm nervous, I'm a little nervous. And that's fine. But you're owning it up. That is, you have the freedom to even say that. It's a great thing. But don't say it as an excuse. You can just acknowledge yourself. And you want to acknowledge yourself aloud? Perfect. Right? So you have enough freedom to even communicate that with the other person and being responsible about it. You'll be appreciated actually because you would have gone through the same thing. You think you came from Moon or Mars or some other galaxy? We are all humans, right? There's no Superman there or Superwoman or whatever else. Right? No, they have some. This American, you have these Hollywood movies, only action stars, all these. Wonder Woman, right? They're neither Superman nor Wonder Woman. Okay? No superpowers. All regular people. Okay? They appreciate. Right? Any questions? So, any questions from the online? If there are anyone, I don't know if anyone is there. Start there. There are questions? No questions? Or what's the time? 5:42. It's not like you're trying to fill the time. I want to ask something that is relevant and contributes. And there are some stock questions. You have to be prepared for the stock questions, right? Like tell me about yourself or give me a background of yourself, whatever else they ask it. That's definitely there. One of the things that may come up very frequently is why should I hire you? Right? Right? Yeah, there what? All that is a little. It's not so relevant. They may ask the question, but that question is not as weighted because you're fresh and whatever you say is some vague idea of your imagination of what you've heard. Because you're not been in the industry, you're not been through seniors, you're not seeing the hierarchy, you're not seeing the possibilities of what's available. So you're still an outsider in some way. So the question may be asked, your answer may not be very critical or may not be evaluated very critical. Do you get the point? So you may answer, but unless you answer very absurdly or something, I want to take your place or whatever, I want to be your boss in a few years, that may be a little obnoxious and irritating, right? No one wants to be challenged. Okay, no one wants to be. So I don't think any of you will be so dumb to or arrogant to answer that kind of in that fashion. Okay, and that's fine. You want to be, you can say, I want to be a star performer and sets and records a path for be a most valuable employee and whatever else you want to say. I want to build my technical skills and go into the technical path. You can say that, or I want to go into management, I want to do product management, or whatever else. Whatever else you want to say. See, the most important thing is your answer is authentic to who you are. Don't make a big, what do you say, you just put bana ke chhod rahe. It doesn't match with who you are. That may not land, and that may have a negative connotation. Okay, it may have a negative image of you because at some level, see, you can expand a little, but it shouldn't be a white lie or it should not be incongruous. Incongruous means you are someone and you're saying something else, right? That's incongruous. That it may not be even logically evaluated, but at some level intuitively they feel something is off here, right? So as long as you're not way off, you fine. So stop 5-10 questions. You can always kind of prepare and go through some iterations of the answer. And also, you need to know is that these answers are not. There's no the answer. There's people who think there's one answer, and we need to go there. There's no such thing. There's no the answer, the only answer that is. Because all your training for the last 15, 16 years has been about there's one answer that you need to get. The world doesn't operate that way. Right? Business definitely doesn't operate that way. There's no the answer, there's the only answer, nothing like that. Unless it's a technical problem or it's a math solution or whatever, there's one solution set which fits the constraints. Other than that, in a broader context, there's no the answer. It's much broader and personal, right? So you don't have to worry about getting it right in that way. As long as you have rational logic, a thought process that kind of justifies what I presented. That's more important rather than getting some answer out there which you're aiming for, which doesn't even exist. Alright? Sure.
So I don't know if it's like a stupid question or what, but is the humor a bit of humor or making the scene lighter during an interview like appreciated or it's like looked down?
I wouldn't. Good question actually. It's not. It's a very relevant question actually, right? Again, depends on the interviewer a lot, right? Some people appreciate humor. Some people are stuck up. You tell me. That's a good question. You tell me. Would I appreciate it or?
You would appreciate it.
Exactly, because that's who I am. I want to keep it light. I want to get it going. I want to have some fun around, right? While getting the job done. It's not that we're talking irrelevant things or some nonsense, right? But there are some people who are very uptight, right? And they have to face the world. Can't do much about it, right? And if people are uptight, you come across. They'll be their voice tonality will have very low bass. They'll be very kind of very matter of factly. In the communication, there will be no modulation. There will be very machine-like. I'm talking about the extreme, right? Okay, there will be, and for them, for those people, if you're trying to lighten it up, right, they may even get offended. Oh, there's someone who's happier than me or something. Okay, this one is better. It's possible. I'm just saying, right? No, so I'm just making those extreme cases so that you get the contrast of it. I'm not saying there's a machine and there's a one bouncing with light. I'm not saying this somewhere in between, but you need to know where that person is, right? And if you can connect by making it a little lighter, then it's not that it's inappropriate, but somewhere you are able to connect. Ultimately, it's a human connection at some level, right? Right. Right. But then you will have a sense, no? Whether this will fly or not, right? And obvious, there's some risk, but it's always also that you can recover. Right? If it's not taken well, you can apologize and say maybe that was inappropriate. I apologize. Yeah. You won't have, right? And that's also appreciated. It's fine. Good. Anything else?
Sir, before the very crucial question that we asked me on I don't want myself or whatever it is. So will we be judged at that moment if we will not answer or they will give us negative? Will we be already judged to be given the job or not with that answers?
May not be. That may be the first impression. So the question asked is when I ask the very first question, which is kind of an icebreaker when I ask, tell me about yourself or tell me about your background or what you have accomplished or whatever else it's phrased as, right? Is that a point of a make or break, right? Maybe not. Most probably not. But there's kind of a first impression. There's a first impression where he's sizing you up. As much as you're trying to size up the interviewer is trying to size you up. And yes, he or she has some certain idea or opinion about you, right? Now, the further questions that he or she asks, is kind of building from there. But that definitely is a starting point. You want to give it a good shot, right? You don't want to be on shaky ground, right? And it's a strong answer that you already have, right? Why not be optimal, the best you can give, right? Why be unprepared for it and then struggle from there on, right? And I'm telling you, um, I would say I can hazard 80% may not be prepared to even answer that question, knowing fully well that is the first question that's going to be asked. Observe, right? They may be prepared, but not in the way that really is that they're fully prepared. Right? They may be mildly prepared. I'm not saying not absolutely prepared, but you are in a rat race in a way, right? You want to be in that category or strata that kind of gets through rather than not. Right? Yeah. So you put yourself in a place of advantage by uh, being more prepared than the other person. Right? And it takes some effort, and you need to put that effort. See, it's about effort put uh, effectively, right? These are the effective points that really matter in person when you go and you give an interview. Maybe today's mostly Skype or Zoom or whatever, I don't know, right? Because of COVID. Otherwise, people will want to have it in person. Because in person, so much they get to know, which mostly doesn't get missed in Zoom or any kind of an online platform. But yeah, given the constraints, a video interview is also really exposes a lot to who you are and how you engage. Okay? So be better prepared. And it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot. Alright. Any more questions or we'll call it a day? Yeah. I'll do it tomorrow. Alright, we'll call it a day. Alright, thank you.
Shift 4, right?